Hi everyone, welcome to Sharina's World, and this is Sharina. Today we are going to start our first chapter, Memory and Storage. Before going into the chapter in detail, we'll take a small recap of what we have studied in our earlier days. Okay, what do you mean by a computer? What is a computer actually? A computer is an electronic device which helps us to do many things. But what will make a computer? Actually, computer is a combination of hardware and software. We all know that hardware is the physical parts of the computer, actually, which we can touch and see. That comprises the hardware. While what about software? Software is the program which makes a computer work. So the necessary programs which are needed for the proper working of a computer is called a software. In short, a computer is a combination of a hardware and a software. So software is done with the programs inside the computer. What all are there inside a hardware? What all together form a hardware? We'll see each of these. Okay, hardware is actually a combination of three units. One, input units, two, system units, three, output units. So input units are actually combination of all the input devices. So input devices are used to give input to the computer. So the input is given through the input devices, and all the input devices together form the input unit. We will see the different types of input devices now. A keyboard is an input device. A mouse is an input device. A camera is an input device where we give camera pictures as input. A scanner is an input device. A scanned pictures are the input given by the scanner. A touchpad is an input device. The touch is detected as clicks and is fetched as the input. Now what about system unit? System unit is actually the part which processes the input that is given by the user through the input device. So the system unit in turn consists of many parts. Okay, together they work to form the system unit. Now we will see what all are there inside the system unit. System unit have a processor which processes the input given by the user. Okay, a memory to store data. Memory is used to store data. A power supply. Obviously, a power supply is needed for the working. Okay. A motherboard is actually a board which contains many other parts in turn inside this. Hard disk drive. Hard disk drive is actually the primary memory of a computer where we store everything for temporary purpose. Output units is used to display output. Monitor is an example. Printer, yeah, which gives printed outputs. Printer is another example for an output device. Speakers, yes, audio is the output which is being given by the speaker. So a hardware is a combination of input unit, system unit and output units. I hope this much it's clear to everyone. Now what do you mean by a memory? Why do we humans need memory? What is the need of memory for everyone? Okay, we humans have memory to rememorate anything. That means to store anything. Similarly, computers also have memory. What is the need of that? It is also used to store information. Now, computers have memory to store information. What do you mean by that information? Information is actually the data and the instructions. So computer have memory to store the data and instructions. Now what do you mean by a memory unit? Memory unit is made of one or more chips, and we already saw a motherboard inside the system unit, and this memory unit is also inside the motherboard. So what do you mean by a memory in short? Memory is, what do you mean by a memory? Memory is a unit of computer made of one or more chips inside the motherboard to store instructions. Okay. Now, what does memory store? Just now we saw memory store information. That the information consists of data and instructions. So, what does a memory store? A memory store instructions, input data and output result. Okay, now we will see each of these in detail. First one, instructions. Instructions are given by the user through the input devices along with the data. It is as per the instructions the CPU processes the data. So instructions is given through the input devices along with the input data. Now, second, input data. Just now I told along with instructions data is also given and it is on this data the process is being executed as per the instructions. Now once after the processing of the input data an output is obtained. That result is called as the output. So the result obtained after execution. The output result is the result obtained after execution of the input data as per the instructions. So, what does a memory store? A memory stores instructions, input data and output result. Now, let us see how the data flows inside a computer. Okay, just now we learned we are giving input through the input unit. So the input consists of the instructions and the data. This is given through the input unit. Once the instructions and data is given, it is handed over to the main memory of the computer. So the main memory is a temporary storage area of these instructions and data. From this main memory, it is fetched by some other part of the computer. But sometimes some additional information need to be there. That is fetched from the secondary storage devices. So from the secondary storage devices, main memory fetches the additional informations. So this data and instructions is then handed over to the processing unit for execution. So the processing unit processes or executes the instructions and the data. Now the result is formed. The formed result is called as the output. This is given back to the main memory. Main memory stores this also, stores the output also. And for permanent storage, the main memory hands over the output to the secondary storage device. Along with that, at the same time, the output is displayed to the user. So output is displayed using the output device. Now we'll see the different types of memory. Memory is actually of two types, primary memory and secondary memory. Primary memory consists of two types, RAM and ROM. While secondary memory is of three types, magnetic disk, example is hard disk drive, optical disk, that is CDs, DVDs, Blu-ray disc and all, and cloud storage. While primary memory is of RAM and ROM, RAM is again of two types, that is SRAM, static RAM, and dynamic RAM, DRAM. ROM is of PROM, EPROM, EEPROM. We will see each of this in detail. Now first thing is the primary memory. What do you mean by the primary memory? Primary memory is the main memory of a computer. This main memory is actually accessed directly by the processing unit. This is accessed directly by the processing unit. It is again of two types, that is random access memory, RAM, random access memory, and ROM, read only memory. So the primary memory is the main memory of a computer. It is accessed directly by the processing unit and is of two types, RAM and ROM. Now, the random access memory. Random access memory is a chip on the motherboard. It is connected to the motherboard. And what is the use of this? What do we see once a computer is switched on? An OS is getting loaded. Something is getting displayed before us. So what is happening behind then? When a computer starts, from the secondary memory, many files of this operating system is getting loaded onto the RAM. So from the secondary memory to the RAM, to the primary memory, the operating system files are getting loaded. So this is what happening when the computer is started. So random access memory, from the storage secondary memory to the RAM, the operating system files are getting loaded. Now we will see the random access memory in detail. A random access memory is volatile in nature. What do you mean by volatile? Volatile means the data stored in it will get erased once computer is turned off. So when the computer is turned off, the data inside the RAM will get erased. That means it is volatile. Now RAM stores the files as long as computer is on. So as long as the computer is on, RAM stores the files. Once the computer is switched off or the power is off, the data inside the RAM will get lost. That is, it is volatile. And when you save a file, what is happening? So whatever in the RAM, once we are saving it, a copy of it from the RAM is moved to the storage unit. So when we are saving a file, a copy of that file is moved from RAM to the storage unit, that is the secondary storage unit. Now, what is the benefit of having a large RAM? A large RAM means better processing speed for the computer because everything can be held in the RAM itself. So larger the RAM capacity, more processing speed of computer. So this is in short a RAM is. Now there is an activity given in your textbook, that is how to find the RAM capacity of our computer. For that, right click on your My Computer icon. There you can see a properties. Click on that properties, which will take you to another window like this. There you can see the installed memory RAM 16 GB. That is my RAM size. So like this, you all can view your computer's RAM size. This is an activity for you all. Now, again there are two types of RAM chips. That is dynamic RAM, DRAM, dynamic RAM. This is the most common one that is seen. This is inexpensive. Dynamic RAM, most common, and it is inexpensive. Next is static RAM, SRAM. SRAM is more efficient and fast, but it's bit more expensive compared to that of dynamic RAM. This is also inexpensive, but compared to DRAM, it is a bit expensive. And this is used as cache memory. Oh, that is a new term, cache memory. What do you mean by cache memory? In our home, it is pretty common that the things that we are using quite often is kept in an easily accessible place. Isn't it so? So the things that we are using daily will be kept in an easily accessible way, in an easily accessible space or place. Just like that, computer stores its data which are being used quite often in an easily accessible area, easily accessible memory. That is called as cache memory. So cache memory is to store data which is used often. The Data which is used often is stored in cache memory for easy access of those data. Now, second is read-only memory, ROM, read-only memory. The name says read-only. The content inside the ROM is just meant for reading only. That is, it stores read-only data. Whether there is any such kind of data that is read-only? Yes, some data or instructions are not meant to change. What is such kind of data or instructions? That is BIOS, Basic Input Output System. Basic Input Output System, BIOS, is not meant to be changed by anyone because these are actually instructions used to load operating system once the computer is switched on. So, if there is any change made in the BIOS, the computer will not work properly. So, BIOS is not meant for changing. Such kind of data and instructions are stored in ROM, read-only memory. And this is non-volatile. That means the data inside the ROM will not be erased if the power is switched off. And it is also inside the motherboard. This is all in short about ROM. Now we will see the different types of ROM chips. First one is PROM, Programmable Read-Only Memory. That is, here the data is stored permanently. That is microcode instructions. The instructions, microcode instructions are stored in PROM. Now, next is Erasable Programmable ROM, EPROM. The contents inside this can be erased and can be added again, reprogrammed. And this erasing is performed using ultraviolet light. Once the contents are erased, these can be added again. So, EPROM uses ultraviolet light for erasing the content. Next is EEPROM, Electrically Erasable Programmable ROM. Just like EPROM, this can erase, but the only difference is that it uses electrical signals for erasing. So the contents can be erased using electrical signals. Now we will see how do we measure memory. In our day-to-day life, we measure many things, isn't it so? Actually, how we measure weight? Weight is measured in grams or kilograms. Now, what about any liquids? Liquid is measured in milliliters or liters. Just like that, memory of a computer also can be measured. How? That is using bits and bytes. What do you mean by a bit? Bit is the smallest unit of memory. Smallest unit of memory is bit. Now, computer understands only zeros and ones. And these zeros and ones are actually called as binary digits. Computer stores or understands data and information only in the form of zeros and ones. These are called binary digits, in short bits. And 4 bits together is called a nibble. A nibble is a combination of 4 bits, and a byte is actually 8 bits. 8 bits combined together to form a byte. Now, a byte is the smallest unit of memory with a unique meaning. So, a bit is just like a letter in our alphabet, while a byte is a complete word formed using these letters. Hope you understood the difference between bits and bytes. Now we will see a basic array of these bits and bytes. What do you mean by bits? See, each of these zeros and ones are bits, and while 8 bits combined together, they are called as a nibble. A byte. Now, 1 bit 8 bits is called a byte. Similarly, 2 bytes is called a word. Now we will see the hierarchy of these bits and bytes. Bits is actually 0 or 1, 0 or 1. One nibble is 4 bits. One byte is 8 bits. 1 KB, you all are familiar with KB. 1 kilobyte is 1024 bytes. And you all are familiar with MB also. 1 megabyte, 1 MB is 1024 KB. Next thing is, you all are pretty familiar with GB, 1 GB, 1 gigabyte. 1 GB is equal to 1024 MB. Now, the next greater is terabyte, TB. 1 terabyte is 1024 GB. 1 petabyte is PB is 1024 TB. 1 exabyte EB is 1024 PB, petabyte. 1 zettabyte is 1024 exabyte. And next larger unit is yottabyte. 1 yottabyte YB is 1024 ZB. And 1 brontobyte BB is 1024 YB. This is the hierarchy of memory measuring. Now next is, what is cache memory? Cache memory, I just introduced you what is cache memory. That is, in our house we keep the things that we use quite often in an easily accessible place. So cache memory is an easy accessible space of our computer. So the data that is being used frequently is kept in cache memory. Frequently used data and instructions are stored in cache. What is the need of cache? Once the data that are used frequently is readily available, that increases the speed of our computer. So, cache memory increases the efficiency of computer. It increases the efficiency of computer. Now, first the processor searches the cache for any data of a running software. If it is not found in the cache, then only it will go and search the RAM chip. So first the processor will search in the cache. If it is not there, then only it will go and check the RAM chip. Now, nowadays, most of the computers have 3 levels of cache memory. So better efficiency, better performance. Now this is all for today. Hope you all understood this. Thank you, and try to do this activity all by your own without your parents' support. Okay, see you next week. Bye bye. Thank you.